Hi, welcome back to the Savannah Buckler podcast. It's been a while. I am sorry. Life has been kind of fucking me over a little bit. So I have like a ton of episodes and stuff that I want to share with y'all, but those are gonna hold off. I was supposed to record this on the day it actually happened, but I never got around to it. That was my bad. Today's cleaning day, so if you guys hear Caleb in the background yelling, or anything like that, he is currently putting our 3-year-old's toddler bed together. We had to, get a new crib / toddler bed thing. This is an actual toddler bed. Get down, bear. So if you hear him get upset, that is why. We're going to be talking about what happened March 2nd, I think 2 or 3 years ago. I don't remember the exact date. But
Kids!
you need to throw that away.
Trash!
Yes. Play with toys. I don't remember, like I said, what time or what year it was, but we're gonna be talking about what happened March 2nd, 2 or 3 years ago. It was just a normal day. My dad went to work. It was just my mom and I hanging out. I think at that time Caleb was at work. I don't remember all of the details, but I do remember this specific incident and like things happened prior to everything. So we were just chilling. My mom was in contact with my dad the entire day. And then it was coming around. Caleb would have just gotten home at that time. My dad usually would be getting off shortly after him. My mom was talking to my dad over the phone. He hung up. My dad used to be a farmer a couple years back, and his boss put him on a road that he was completely unaware of, okay? I still to this day blame his old boss for my dad's accident. So it was just a normal day at first. We did stuff downstairs. Well, I did stuff downstairs. My mom was doing stuff upstairs. At that time, my mom still lived with my dad, but they just recently got divorced. I'm currently watching Carly Stove vlogs. Don't mind the background noise. And then it was around that time that my dad normally would come home. We never heard from him. So my mom ends up calling him, and he answers, and he's like, "Hey, I've been in a really bad semi-truck accident." He took a turn too sharp and ended up rolling this green semi-truck. I don't know how many times, and I don't know how he ended up surviving and how he managed to call 911 and everything like that. Like, to this day, I still don't know how the hell he did that. So yeah. My mom ends up she's on the phone. She opened the basement door and was like, "Your dad's been in an accident." And at that point, like, I just remember collapsing, and Caleb, I think he was like changing litter boxes or something, and he just sees me like collapse, and he's like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "My dad is in a really bad semi-truck accident." And I just remember just like crying. And at that time we had my sister's kid with us. That's a whole other ordeal that I can't really get into. So at that point, I think he was in between. I don't remember specifically where this accident took place. But he ends up like hiding all of his stuff that he doesn't want stolen. He ends up like crawling out of this semi-truck through like the window, okay? And at that point he did not know the severity of his... Okay. Be nice to him.
I could have flung him across the room. I was nice.
At this point, my dad did not know the severity of his injuries, but he did all of this through adrenaline. He had a really bad adrenaline rush, and that is what kept him going and what kept him, like, to call, like, the cops, the ambulance, and my mom. So, my mom is still talking to my dad at that point. Like, I'm just, like, freaking out. I'm calling people, I'm texting everyone, I'm crying, I'm scared, I don't know what the hell to do. The ambulance took so fucking long to get my dad, and then he got transported to Grant. So, we just took off. At that time, my mom, my sister's kid, Caleb, ends up taking the kids to Sarah's. So it was just me and Caleb at that point, and we rushed to Grant. And at that point, like, I saw my dad, and I was just terrified of his injuries. He had a black eye. He had this, like, cut on his head. At that point, they put him in, like, a neck brace and everything like that. Like, I'll show you guys pictures after this. Actually, when I edit this, I'll put it, like, right here. So, he was pretty banged up. Like, his face was all banged up. By the way, trigger warning before I put these photos up. Trigger warning to anyone, because it's pretty bad. And I will also put a trigger warning at the beginning of this video. Like I said, it was pretty bad. He ended up breaking his neck, a plate in his spine, and some ribs. My dad is really lucky to be alive. Pretty lucky to even have walked away from that accident literally 2 months later. But we're going too far. So they end up doing everything they can at Grant, and then they find out that he needs to be transported flight for life to Thornton, Colorado. So at that point, we let them finish what they were doing, and then my mom, my sister's kid, Caleb, and I all came back here and started packing hospital bags and everything like that. We ended up getting a hotel. Caleb and I ended up taking our own car because A, we had to stay to get my dad from Thornton, and B, my mom ended up having to come back to town like a day or two later to go back to work. So we pack the bags at that point. We go, I think we had Ziva at this point, and I think I was just recently pregnant with Amrith. I could be wrong. I don't remember specifically, but I think that's what happened. I was at that time pregnant with Amrith, and we had Ziva, so we ended up packing my mom's bag, my dad's bag, Caleb's bag, my bag, and the kids' bags. Ended up driving to Thornton, finding a hotel, got checked in, blah blah blah, dropped off all the stuff, went to the hospital where my dad was at. And so yeah, my dad was there for a while. My mom ended up having to go back to town a day or two later. So Caleb and I ended up staying until my dad was able to get released from the hospital. When my dad got released, they gave us a bunch of instructions, bunch of meds that we had to pick up. He was still wearing the neck brace. And my dad was wearing the neck brace for about a month of his recovery. And then literally 2 months later, my dad is walking away from this accident, okay? My dad is fully recovered, fully healed from this endangering experience, which is still shocking to me to this day. To this day, my dad has a scar from that head injury that I talked to you guys about, but everything else healed exactly the way it should have been. My dad also had another really bad, almost life-threatening injury working for the same dude. His hand ended up getting stuck in an auger. He was working on it, and it ended up slipping, and his thumb was basically torn off, like bone and everything. I do not have pictures of it. But he also had to be flight for life for that as well, and it was a really bad recovery process as well. Not nearly as long in the hospital for the thumb than his whole body, basically. But I remember with that injury having to help my dad, like, put plastic over his hand because he couldn't get it wet, and putting medication on his hand and stuff like that. And the healing process with it was really gross. But to this day, my dad is great. It is currently March 8th when I'm recording this, and like I said, this happened like 2 or 3 years ago, and my dad is fully healed, and he's doing so much better. For the thumb injury, his hand is like kind of like stuck like this, and he still has that scar, but other than that, he's doing really, really well. Pray. All I gotta say is prayer does work, because my dad is a walking miracle of it. But I love you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the Savannah Buckler podcast, and I will catch you guys in another episode.